Hey everyone, it's Baylor Fan 27 again. And today I probably have some very sad news. As it was known yesterday, April 3rd, 2013, Disney decided to close LucasArts. LucasArts was a company, just personally, I grew up with as a child. I played a lot of their games, Star Wars, Battlefronts 1 and 2, Rogue Squadron 2 and 3, Episode 1 Phantom Menace, and I believe Clone Wars that they had on the GameCube. I played a lot of those, the good games. I played the bad ones like Force Unleashed, and Demolition was pretty bad too. But it came with good and bad, and it's sad to see such a great company that's been around for so many years finally disappear. In recent years, we've come to know that LucasArts has been really falling behind in quality games like they had made in the past. Most recently, of course, with the Force Unleashed series being a big flop, and of course, the last game, Kinect, Star Wars, a huge disappointment. But what's really saddening in this news is coming to know that possibly the future title Star Wars 1313 and First Assault will most likely be canceled. It's not confirmed at the moment, but it's speculated that both will most likely get canceled. Disney claims that they will allow for another company if they choose to take on the project and continue it, but I don't really see that happening. LucasArts will now just basically be a brand, a logo or something. I'm sorry, I really don't know. But they will not be producing video games anymore. They've actually already began laying off a lot of people at LucasArts, and they've just shut down development completely. What's sad is Star Wars 1313 was most likely about 90% complete. This was going to be the first ever mature rated Star Wars video game. It was going to take place in the underworld of Coruscant, where you would play as a bounty hunter. It was going to be really interesting. We really don't know how the game would have been, just because of how LucasArts has came, their last few productions. But we were expecting that this could possibly be the title to bring back LucasArts' great reputation. It was shown at E3. The graphics were beautiful, very exciting. It was gonna, I believe they tried to release it last year, but they pulled it back because they wanted to get it released on the new systems, on the PlayStation 4 and the new Xbox. And sadly, it did not make it that far. Probably about, like I said, 90% completed, but because of this recent closing, the game may never see the light of day. Another title, of course, that they were, I'm not sure if they were constructing it at the moment, but they were for sure going to plan on constructing it, was the new game Star Wars First Assault, which was going to be basically like a spin-off from the Battlefront series. But what was so huge about this game was that most likely if this game had gotten a large amount of support, we could have possibly seen a sequel in the Battlefront series to Star Wars Battlefront 3. Now what's so interesting is if we look to the past, Battlefront 3 was in a time in production. I would probably range it from about 2005 to 2006, after the second Battlefront was released. And Battlefront 3, of course, was going to be planned on being released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It was a huge game. It was under development. It was not going to be done by Pandemic, who, by the way, were a great company to come out of LucasArts. But it was going to be produced by a new company known as Free Radical. And this basically kind of like a silent battle would go on to where nobody in the gaming or Star Wars community knew what was was happening. And it was basically a huge fight between LucasArts and Free Radical. And in the end, it was sadly canceled in about 2008. There's a lot of dispute why. LucasArts claim it was a lot of money reasons and over Free Radical's first game, which was a failure in Fear. And Free Radical made the claims, that it was LucasArts holding them back, wanting to do different things and changing the game. And also, I believe, to get Star Wars Force Unleashed pushed out before Battlefront 3. But it's sad to know, whatever reason it was canceled. This game was going to... It looked... probably in 2008, a former member of Free Radical, because the company sadly had to file for bankruptcy after losing so much money. And when they did, they leaked out screenshots and videos of beta programming for the game. The game looked beautiful, for what it was on beta. We could only imagine what it was going to be like in a regular final release. It was, I believe, also about close to 90% complete. And sorry about that. And I lost my train of thought. Alright, one sec. I'm sorry. Okay. It was about 90% complete. And it was going to have the new aspect of where you could actually fly and fight on, well, not fly, let's say. You could fight on the ground, but you could also take to space in one stage. In Battlefront 2, we were able to actually go into space for the first time, and Battlefront 3 was going to have it to where you could do both at once. So it was going to be a huge deal in the community, just a huge deal. And nobody really knew, of course, until 2008 when the screenshots were leaked. Everything was coming out. Star Wars fans got extremely excited, but then, of course, saddened to figure out that the game was canceled. I personally did not know about any of this information until about 2012, and I was so sad to hear that. There's still constantly a fight for Battlefront 3. There is also a Facebook campaign. I might put the link in the description box in order to get some support for them there, because they really, especially if you love the Battlefront series, I'll put that in there. A lot of information also on the Battlefront 3 controversy. You can look it up on YouTube. I sadly don't have enough time to go over that. And but it was very sad to know that. And with the closing of LucasArts, this sadly darkens the future for our hope of a Battlefront 3. We could possibly get it moved to a different company if Disney decides to do that, but I have no idea. But probably in conclusion of this, it's just a very sad discovery that LucasArts, a company that's been around since, I'd say, the early 80s, maybe, late 80s, probably about late 80s, I'm going to go there. And, to release a great amount of not just Star Wars games, but their own developed games from the company. And for a company that's been around so long, it's sad to finally see it come to an end. Personally, on Disney buying the franchise of Star Wars, that's another story for me. I sadly was not born to see the original trilogy like the true fans say. I was born when Episode 1 was the big thing. When I was about probably 6 years old, Episode 1 was the huge thing going on. And I stayed alive to watch all of the new 3 and the previous trilogy. And I felt, well, that completed the series, and now Disney's planning on expanding it, as we all know. I don't know how I really feel about that. Maybe they could do a good job. So far, I've heard a lot of interesting things of how they're going to make so much new stuff. And I'm not really excited about it. But, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. Sadly, they closed down LucasArts. But, that was bound to happen, sadly. And basically all we can do is just move on and hope maybe some other companies will get a hold of the Star Wars LucasArts franchise. Maybe. Maybe I'm sure we'll probably see another Star Wars game one of these days down the line. You know, so we just got to be hopeful and wait for it. Who knows? Maybe that could even be Battlefront 3. That would be the next game for Star Wars to release. Okay, but you know, I just wanted to share that real quick. I hope to come out with another video real soon. So, this has been Baylor Fan 27, and I'm out.